Hello, good morning. Before I tell you anything about myself or tell you what's going to happen, I'm going to invite you to do a bit of a check-in with yourself and just notice how you're arriving today. The way that I'm going to invite you to do that is to just, in your mind, start at the top of your head and work down your body and just ask yourself, how am I feeling today? What's going on for me? So we're going to start at the top of our head, go down to your fingertips, down to your toes. Feel your body sitting in the chair or whatever you're perched on. Maybe become aware of your breathing. You don't need to try and change it. Just notice how your breathing is naturally right now in this moment. And if you're feeling really brave, you might want to share with me, I have time for maybe 1 or 2 people to share with me how you're arriving today, how you're feeling. If you were a mobile phone, how much energy have you got left? What's your battery life? Is anyone feeling brave enough to share their check-in with me this morning?
Probably
85%. 85% on the phone battery? That is pretty good.
Charging up.
So at the end of the week, you've still got 85%. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. So you've moved your body this morning. Maybe it rained a bit, feeling a bit refreshed. Good, I'm glad to hear that. Anyone else want to share their check-in this morning?
The percentage is rising up a little bit as we arrive at the destination.
Nice. So you're plugged in now. You've got coffee, you're plugged in. Very good. Any more before I continue? Anyone else feel called to share their check-in this morning? Thank you for sharing. And I would invite you to do that with yourself every day and ask yourself, what do I need? What would increase if your battery is low? What do I need? What do I need right now? I'm a life and business coach. My name is Helen Jane Campbell, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Then we're going to do a bit of group coaching together. This is being filmed, so only share what you feel comfortable to share. If you are saying anything out loud, it's going to be on camera. I'm also going to invite you to write down some of your feelings so you can have a dialogue with yourself this morning. If you're like me, I don't really feel very comfortable sitting in chairs, sitting in rows. I'm quite a wriggly person and I get a bit bored and I switch off and I think, I came here to listen to this talk, but I've already zoned out 3 times and think about what I'm having for lunch and what I didn't do and have I locked the door and where's my umbrella. So if you're like me and you like a bit of a walk around or a wriggle, feel free to walk around and wriggle during my talk. I will not be offended. Your first opportunity to walk around and wriggle is to come and get a journal if you want. I'm going to give you a free journal, but in order to receive it, you have to come get it. Sorry. The journals are here. There's stickers to go on them. If you have a short attention span like I do, I love stickers. I like something interactive. There's also bookmarks.
I like stickers.
Amazing.
Stickers.
So help yourself to bookmarks, journals, stickers. Beautiful.
There we go. Very fabulous.
And then we're going to do some writing in these journals this morning.
Like a triple Q established 3 times per day.
And there's a camera, we're recording the cue.
Q in history, everybody.
Love it.
Special stuff.
The stitching's beautiful, isn't it? Very, very, very satisfying. So while you're familiarising yourselves with the journals and sticking your stickers and finding a pen or a pencil to write with, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Oh, amazing! This is almost done. Beautiful. Gorgeous work right there. Thank you, Yo. I love this. So that you know who I am, who you're flying with this morning on this journey, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, and then you're going to get to know yourselves a little bit better as well today. So I'm a life and business coach. I worked in PR and marketing for 20 years before I trained as a coach and set up my own coaching practice. I work with all sorts of creative people, artists, actors, writers, TV presenters, and part of my job as a coach is to visualize what you might want your future to look like, to notice the barriers and blocks standing in your way, to help you navigate them and to be on that journey together with you. I worked 10 years for other people and 10 years for myself before becoming a coach. And when I started working for myself, it was a result of the 2008 financial crash. I got made redundant. I had one day when I wasn't technically in employment, and the next day I started working freelance. So I've had one day of my life that I didn't work. I like to be busy, as you could probably tell. And as I started working for myself, and think about this, it was 2008, there weren't lots of digital nomads, there weren't lots of people working from home. The Wi-Fi was pretty shitty, so that was one of the reasons. And people started coming to me and asking me, how do you do this? How do you get clients? How do you work for yourself? How do you get your invoices paid? Da, 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 da. And I used to go out for coffee with every single one of them. And I ended up with a Facebook group of 3,500 people asking me these questions in addition to my job. I wasn't getting paid for this. And I had this community of 3,500 people asking me, can you come on my freelancing journey with me? And I used to do this in my free time for fun. And at one point, after 10 years of doing this, I thought, maybe I could do that for a job. Took a really long time to turn that light bulb on, guys. So that happened. And last year, while everybody was making banana bread in COVID and playing with the kids, I wrote a book, because I'm a nutcase. So that's what I decided to do in COVID. You can order it from your favourite bookseller. It's called Founders, Freelancers and Rebels, and it answers a lot of the questions that my clients asked me and that people were asking me when they were coming to me. This morning we're here to talk about ethos. There's a theme that gets given to you at Creative Mornings, and then you interpret it in your own way, which I love. I love the idea there's people all around the world talking about ethos this morning and bringing a different vibe and a different perspective to it. So I'm going to invite you to think about what you stand for. What do you stand for? What do you stand for in your career? What do you stand for in your relationships? What do you stand for in your family? In your well-being, in your free time? You might already know your values. If you do, this morning is a chance to go a bit deeper into them and notice whether you're aligned with them, whether the job you do is aligned with your values, whether you feel congruent with yourself, or whether you're feeling compromised by something your client is asking you to do, or by the way that your week or your day is structured, perhaps. Our values can act as an inner compass for ourselves in the way that we run our lives, but also they can show up as unmet needs. For example, if you told me, it's incredibly important to me, Helen, to live near the sea, but I'm right in the middle of the country and I'm completely landlocked. Maybe there's something that you want to change to feel more congruent and more aligned with yourself. And I give that example because it was something a client actually said to me recently, and we kind of looked at where they lived and looked at where the sea was and went, I'm not saying you got to move, but I'm reflecting back to you what you just told me. If you'd like to grab your journals now, and you don't have to do this, and all of the exercises are optional, do this if you feel called to do it. Journaling is literally just sharing what's in our head down on the page and getting to know ourselves a bit better. And I'd like you to start with a gentle warm-up exercise, or I'd like to invite you to start with a gentle warm-up exercise. And the prompt is, what can I see, what can I hear, what can I feel, what can I taste, what can I smell? So I'd just like you to write down a response to any of your senses. You don't have to do all of them. You might just want to write how it feels to be sitting in your chair here this morning, or how the coffee smells, or what you can hear. Someone's got really nice perfume on. I think it's you. And almost like a gift, somebody's decided to move a really noisy trolley outside in case you couldn't hear anything. Synchronicity. And once you've written the answer to the question, what can you see, what can you hear, what can you smell, what can you taste, what can you touch? It's going to get a little bit harder. The next question is, you might want to write this down, this is a tough question. What must be present in your life, and you might want to write in my life, what must be present in my life in order for me to feel fulfilled? What must be present in my life in order for me to feel fulfilled? And I'm going to invite you to write a bullet point list in answer to that question. And the clue is there are no wrong answers. And I'd invite you to not self-edit, because some of us might think, well, really, I want some money, but is that the sort of thing that I want to say? Will people judge me? What will they think? No judgments. Bullet point list of your honest answer to that question. What must be present in my life in order for me to feel fulfilled? And we're doing this exercise at breakneck speed this morning. I would invite you to sit with this question for days, maybe for weeks, maybe for months. We're just doing a snapshot. This is more of a demonstration of how you can communicate with yourself about your values. So the next thing that you might want to do when you've got the time and the space and the energy, do a check-in with yourself before you sit down with this in your own time, is to choose 3 from the list and maybe even rank them. So you might want to underline, or if you've brought your stationery, you might want to highlight them. Underline or highlight 3 things that are most important to you from that list. And I'm guessing, as I say, there's no right or wrong answers, but I'm guessing your list might look something like a list of words that says things like community, the environment, nature, money, friendship, sex, love, communication. Choose 3 things from the list that are most important to you. And if you feel called to rank them, you might want to put 1, 2, 3 next to those and decide what your top value is. And this is just for you. If anybody does want to share at any point, you're very welcome, but it's just for you, this conversation you're having with yourself through journaling. And ultimately, you might feel called to write something such as a life purpose statement. If this really percolates and resonates with you and you think, I know where I'm going, I've identified my values, or I've reconnected with my values, and I know what my purpose is now for my life. A lot of businesses have purpose statements or value statements. And as individuals, especially if we work for ourselves, it can be really useful to connect what that means for us. So for example, one of my values is diversity. The town I live in is not very diverse in terms of it's a lovely town, but it's not very diverse in terms of the demographic. And so I set up the first Pride event that we'd ever had, and Hannah actually was one of the people who inspired me to do that, because Hannah also set up the first Pride event in your town. So sometimes we might notice that our values and our lives are not completely aligned. So I was sitting there with this word diversity and asking myself, well, what the hell are you doing about this, Helen? You're just sitting there moaning that your town is not as diverse as you would like it to be. What can you do to invite and encourage and welcome more diversity into the town? Little did I know it'd be 18 months of exhaustion. You knew this.
I did warn you.
You did warn me. But physically living your values can be very rewarding and also exhausting. How am I doing for time, Pete? Yeah, I'm good. So the next piece of work to do is to notice out of these values, particularly the ones that you've highlighted as your top 3, if you've done that, is where they are fulfilled and where they are showing up as unmet needs. And this is not about judgment against you, from yourself to you. You're not judging yourself here. What we're doing is just a little bit of recalibration, alignment. Yes. So the next piece of work to be done is to notice out of that list of values, which ones are showing up, which ones are present in your life at the moment, and which ones are not. And they're areas for some work, some time, some space. We're basically uncovering what the areas of our life that we'd like to give more attention to, that are kind of underloved or undernourished at the moment. And as I say, let's do it without judgment, but we just notice that there's an area of our life that could do with a bit more airtime, a bit more love, a bit more attention. So for example, and I'm sure that a lot of people would join me in this, during COVID, apart from the prescribed daily walks, I didn't move my body as much as I would normally, or as I would want to, because we didn't go out dancing, we didn't do all the things. So I've kind of given so much attention to that. I've kind of gone turbo. I did 2 trapeze lessons this year, and I am not an acrobat by any means, but that unmet need to move my body really rose to the top of my list, and I've started finding different and new ways to move my body and give that area of my life a bit more attention. And just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I do the right things all the time at all. I have a coach as well. In fact, I have 2. I have a coach and a supervisor. And so this is constant. It's not me telling you, I've got this amazing life and you need to be like me, and I'm sitting in white doing the lotus position every morning. Sadly, that is very far from the truth. We're all in this together, this kind of process, this journey, this getting to know our creative selves. It's a journey that we're all on. And I'm not saying that I am doing it any better than anybody else here, but I do have some tools and techniques to help me. So I just wanted to share them with you today, really. So now we come to the point where I'm going to invite you to ask any questions, to share anything with me that you may have discovered about yourself that you would like to share this morning. And I'm here for you. I'm here for your journeys. I'm here for what you may have discovered about yourself in the last 15 minutes. Has anyone got anything they'd like to say or share?
never really framed it this way, but I realised that I need puzzles.
Yes.
They don't have to be strictly puzzles. They could just be conversations where you work something out
Yes.
with another person. But I need to fix something, whether it's a crossword or just a Google or just a logistical issue. I need to be puzzling something out.
I love that. That's beautiful. I only realised recently that I need some kind of resistance. Like, I don't even know I haven't worked out what the word is yet, but I was working on my values recently. I need some pushback or something and it seems like a similar kind of...
In like a relationship or just in general?
In general, like something to push back against me. And I haven't found the word for it yet, but that puzzle, I like the way that you've described your version of that. Yeah, to work something out. That's lovely.
It's almost disconcerting when things are obvious and straightforward and easy. You're just like, something's wrong here. It's uncanny.
Yes.
So a little bit of challenge, like in relationships.
Challenge, yes.
But like in relationships, if you just have a partner and you just agree with them and they just agree with you all the time, it's a bit, you don't really want that. You want someone with whom you can contend.
100%.
They push back against you and you might clash on some things, but then you resolve it in a almost professional way with
Yes.
each other, don't you?
There's some life there, some energy, some spark, and that trust that you can have a different opinion and still love each other at the end of the day.
Precisely.
That's gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing. I love that. And as you're sharing, other people are going to be lit up by what you're sharing as well. Yes.
I was thinking about variety.
Yes.
That has been, I really need, I've realised when I'm writing here, and how I can bring more variety in, and it's felt very groundhog day, you know, like this. So it's a bit of a contradiction.
So you have routine and
Busy,
variety.
but I'm now wondering whether I'm busy in the right places.
That's such a good question to ask ourselves. Am I busy in the right places? Yes, and variety. Because in coaching we talk a lot about habits and routine, because that grounds us. But that groundhog day, that can turn off your creative brain a bit.
I've realised it really drags me down. So
Yes.
I need that variety of creativity, but also just day-to-day life. I'm not very good with things being the same all the time.
Absolutely. And this aligns with what you were saying about puzzles. Puzzle is something to work out, variety. If you think about our comfort zone, what we feel familiar with, and then what we call in coaching the stretch zone, which is outside of the comfort zone. The stretch zone is where we do our learning and our growing. And if we stay in the comfort zone, maybe we feel safe, but maybe we're not stimulated, we're not learning anything new, we're not exploring. And so it sounds like both of you want to work more in your stretch zone with yourselves. And of course, when we do that, our comfort zone expands, our world becomes bigger, and what feels scary is further away. Because there's so much stuff in our comfort zone then, as we try new things, that we can become braver as a result. So what you're describing, your variety, is a route to bravery as well.
Yeah, and learning was one of the others.
Beautiful. They're so aligned. I love it. So much goodness in here. Would anyone else like to share or ask a question? Yes.
We were talking about our values on the way in the car on the way here, and I was talking about my number one value for being self-employed has always been freedom. But it's hard because I kind of went self-employed to have more freedom.
Yes.
But when it's only you that can do the work, then how much freedom can you actually have? Unless you have passive income and things like that. If I want to earn money, I still have to do the work.
Yes.
And then the freedom is kind of limited then. So it's kind of like finding that balance of feeling like I have enough freedom to do all the fun stuff that I want to do, and enough structure to earn enough money to live basically from my job. So yeah, it's kind of almost like a spectrum of how much freedom is a good amount of freedom, I suppose.
Absolutely. And what does freedom mean for me?
Yeah.
So another exercise you might want to do with your list is go through all of the words you've written down and ask, what does freedom mean for me? What does variety mean for me? And as you're ideating, you might come across some more values under that, because what does freedom bring you? And I'm not expecting you to answer now, but maybe think about that. What does freedom bring me? It enables me to do this. And what does that bring me? And underneath, you might find that your core value is somewhere hidden, that freedom is a clue to what your core value is.
Yeah. Even thinking like freedom, like probably when I first started, it would be like doing whatever I want whenever I want to do it. And that's probably because I lived at home and things like that. And now, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish someone would just tell me what to do today, because I don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's almost gone like the other way, and it's finding that like that.
So it's evolved.
Yeah.
You know you can have freedom now, but it's evolved into a question about, well, yeah, could someone tell me what to do, please? Because that would feel really nice right now. And finding ways to access that.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. I'd love to talk about that more with you.
I was just with that, and I bought this diary where you plan the day before, so you're still deciding it for yourself, like every hour what you want to do the next day. So it kind of, you have to just try and stick to your structure that you made yourself. Yeah. So I find that really helpful.
It's lovely to have techniques like that. So you've noticed what you need, and then you've found a technique that works for you as well. And it sounds quite fun as well, the way that you've described
so
it.
Like the work, like everything that you want the next day. So also, like anything's going to be nice things as well. Yeah. But you just plan when you do them rather than just being overwhelmed.
So it also helps with overwhelm too? It also helps a bit with overwhelm too?
Yeah, stop from feeling like I don't know where to start my day.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. I love it. Do we have time for one more question, Pete? Yeah? One more question. No pressure.
I could just add on there. Sorry.
Don't apologise. This is good. This is really good.
Just because the sort of the dichotomy of just liberty and freedom, but also structure, the necessity of structure to provide a framework for your liberty is almost like having you want to take the speed limit off your car, but still have the speed limits on the signs so that you could drive it. You know, I can if I want to, but that's not how I'm going to drive it.
Yes.
The happiest person I know is my father. He's not remotely creative. I am. I'm a musician, and the happiest man I know is my dad. But his life is so regimented. It's so strict. It's so ordinary. It's natural, completely natural.
Yes.
But I think, and Rob and I were discussing this before we started. Creative people generally, I think, need a little bit more of an injected structure into their life because they're naturally more chaotic, they're naturally more entrepreneurial, and that's just occurred to me.
I love this. So your dad's definition of liberty is to be in charge of his own structure, and yes,
Take control of it.
yes,
You know?
that's what freedom looks like to him,
Yeah.
and he's happy.
Incredibly.
And that is such a. I'm so glad you made that the last point, because where we're going to finish today is to remind ourselves that your values and your values and your values and my values and Pete's values are all going to be different, and that's okay. We're not aiming to be carbon copies of each other. So there's no point in looking over the shoulder of the person next to you and noticing what they've written in their journal, because your values are unique to you. You get to decide and you get to choose. So I'm hoping that this very quick exercise we've done this morning has enabled you to think about some conversations you might have with yourself over the next few weeks and months. If anything that I've said hasn't resonated with you, just leave it behind. Take what feels good. Leave the rest with me. It's all just ideas and invitations. I'm not saying this is compulsory and this must work for everybody. If it works for you, feel free to share it with whoever you want. Anything I told you this morning, you can share with anybody that you like. And I'd like to invite you to give yourselves a round of applause for the work that you've done this morning with me today. Thank you very much.
Do you want to stay on for a sec?
Yeah, sure. Should I stand back here?
Definitely. I love the space you've created. Does anyone else feel like really calm right now? Because you've got this aura of calm, like you settled us. And I feel like oftentimes, like particularly if you're going to work and everything's rushed, like I didn't say it out loud, but like when you asked, oh, what do you feel, what's in there, I was like, adrenaline. That's often the thing, isn't it? Like even though I'm not a morning person, it's that like rush to always get somewhere. But taking the time to just write down what's in us is so important.
Yes.
And I know that when we had a chat, in preparation for this, you said that journaling doesn't have to be writing. So like
That's right.
for people in this room that aren't natural scriptural journalers, do you want to just talk a bit more about that?
Absolutely. I'm really glad you raised that, because of course we all work in different ways, and I have some good friends who are dyslexic, some of my clients are dyslexic, and they like to leave me voice notes, and I'm really, really comfortable with that. I love receiving voice notes from my clients and my friends, and that works for them because the written word doesn't flow so naturally. So we could leave ourselves voice notes as a way of journaling. We could make short videos for ourselves. We could paint about it, swim about it, do yoga about it. I'm really open to what your journaling looks like. I'm obviously a writer, which is why I felt, and I love stationery, which is why I felt called to give you all a journal this morning. But journaling, you could take that page and paint on it. You could cut things out from magazines and stick them on. I know some people here have been doing Inktober. You could journal with a daily drawing. Journaling can come in all different shapes and forms, and those conversations that we have with ourselves around our values, it's often good to have somebody to bounce off. Obviously, I would say this because I'm a coach. It's great to get a coach to bounce your ideas off, because the point of coaching is I'm an unbiased cheerleader for your journey. I'm not going to have a preference of which route you take. I'm not going to force you into one course of action, but I'm going to hold the space for you in a non-judgmental way. You might want to talk to a friend or relative. What you might find is that maybe if you say to your mum, I'm thinking of moving to New York, that she might have some personal reasons why she thinks that's not a great idea, or why she does. Like, she might want to get rid of you, you never know. But she may have a vested interest in your decision. The advantages of a coach is we don't have a vested interest in whether you move to New York or you stay in Cardiff, but we will hold the space for you to have that conversation with yourself.
This reminds me a lot of sort of mindfulness techniques as well. From the moment you started talking, basically. So practically just bringing yourself to the present moment is the best cure ever, really. Whether you write a journal or draw or use the voice, message, etc. It is really very helpful to sort of coming back to your authenticity.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. What else would as best?
That word you used there, authenticity, is at the heart of everything we've been speaking about this morning. Thank you.
My core value.
I can feel that.
Thank you.
I was thinking about, I think it was something you mentioned about, planning your next day, and it reminded me of a journal that I keep. I sometimes keep, but it's structured. I think it's inspired by Stephen R. Covey. He's written like this book on just getting organized and management and things like that. But the way that the diary is structured, it helps and asks you questions that are linked to your core value. So as soon as you've understood that, and these really great questions that you've asked, you're then presented every day as an opportunity to highlight that again. So one thing for me is finding joy through with other people, and like inspiring other people to feel joy as well. So the question then for the next day is, well, who is that person that I'm going to focus on tomorrow? And as a manager, that's just a great thing. So then I can hone in on one person in my team and then think, for tomorrow I'm going to focus on
that's beautiful.
blah person. And then the next day, so that no one ever really gets left behind either, but then I feel fulfilled by doing that one thing. So I don't know, are there any other journals or books that you would recommend for people in this space?
Oh yeah, I love a book recommendation. Yes. I live in Hay-on-Wye, so book recommendations is my thing. You ready? The Artist's Way Yes.
And her second book, or the latest book, I think, was every book.
So Julia Cameron.
That's right.
Yes.
But I cannot really recall. I think it was. I have to check online. I'm sorry. It took me 3 months to accomplish it, and it's a little bit different artist way. I think it adds some sort of retirement.
Okay.
For people, so not necessarily for younger people, maybe actually yes as well, because you kind of think of your, future life too. Let me just check the detailed title.
Brilliant.
But yes,
No, that sounds great. So,
100%.
Artist's Way and other Julia Cameron books. I'm actually co-running an Artist's Way course starting in January in Hay-on-Wye with a gallery called Oil and Oak. So if people are doing the Artist's Way and they want to do it with other people, we're going to create a community of artists, which I'm really excited about. Community is one of my values too. Artist's Way, Time to Think by Nancy Kline. Love that book so hard. All the Brené Brown books.
Yeah.
I was going to give you one of them, which is like all of them, just absorb them, eat them for breakfast. What else? What other books do we like? My book? This one? We like this book. Please buy this book. What else? Oh, any writers? Pete? Yes. Big Magic for writers.
Absolutely.
Yes. Elizabeth Gilbert.
So amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Also a writer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive book, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's also, this is a very outside of the box recommendation. Maybe not everything in it is something I would agree with, but there's a lot in there that I found really valuable. There's a book called Existential Kink by Carolyn Elliott. It's a PhD study into why we like to self-sabotage ourselves and put ourselves in the shit on purpose because we love it. So, read it. Let me know what you think of it. It's unusual. I found it really inspiring. I had some quite hard conversations with myself about that book.
I would recommend Kelly Smith's journals. I don't know if they're really nice and creative, and she's an illustrator, so...
So that's a journal that you can write in? Yes. Nice. I like the Me Goals journals as well, which is M-I Goals. I think they're Australian, maybe? I'm not sure.
I have a recommendation in my story.
Lovely.
Might be obvious. Marcus Aurelius Meditations.
Nice.
The only book in the series.
I haven't read that, but the way you speak about it, I can tell that it's resonating.
Well,
It's
he
great.
was he's Marcus Aurelius, he's
Yeah.
Roman emperor, right?
Yeah.
So he somehow arrived at a degree of wisdom that I just can't comprehend. And it's a wonderful book to write. It's written in almost list form, so you don't have to. You can just open it up and read little sort of daily nuggets. That's why you get a daily Stoic nuggets and little quotes, things like that. They all work like that. And I think that's a wonderful sort of well of wisdom on which to draw for anybody.
That sounds gorgeous. I'm going to check it out.
Low Brown version of the same thing. Darren Brown was a little bit happier, which is based on the really, really short and much more like me level of getting into that kind of stuff.
Is it called A Little Bit Happier? A little bit happier. Happier.
It's all basically that, but just in very simple form.
Beautiful.
Anyone else thinking Christmas lists?
That's the second time you've mentioned Christmas this morning. It's definitely Christmas is maybe one of your values. Or gifting. Lovely. Is that your love language?
Bruce Lipton, a motivational speaker. I don't know if anyone's familiar with total biology. So I'm very into him, and obviously I think it's spontaneous evolution. It's really it's about authenticity and us all spreading it into the entire world, and to unifying with each other and to inspire each other and just becoming the best version of who we are. And I would say Bruce Lipton is definitely one of my favorites.
These are such great recommendations.
Well, thank you so much, Helen.
Very
It's been
welcome.
an absolute honor to have you. Guys, it's here to look at, she's here to talk to, but she's too humble to push her own Please do buy the book. It's available on whatever space you feel comfortable buying books on. Amazon is the most obvious, but if you like to support other ventures, then do look for it there as well. Thank you. Let's give her another round of applause.